Dr. Kelly Henry. Welcome to the ROI Online Podcast.
Thank you, Steve. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I'm interested in this conversation. If you were to ask everyone listening to this podcast who have businesses, they're business owners, they're entrepreneurs, whatever, if you were to ask them, do you have great customer service? To a man, most would say, and to a woman, most would say, yeah, customer service is our strong point. But yet, when we go through the world, we run into almost everyday experiences that prove the opposite. Most customer service sucks. Why is that?
That's a great question, and you're exactly right. The vast majority of business owners will say, yes, we have great customer service, and the vast majority of consumers would say, no, you don't have great customer service. So a lot of reasons for this. What I find is probably the biggest reason is business owners have, or most businesses have, pieces of great customer service. They do this well and this well, but as a whole, they don't have a foundation. They don't have a whole system. They don't do all the things that drive a culture of customer service. And when that is not the case, yeah, because I have this piece and this piece, the assumption is, sure, we got great customer service. And when you think you have something, there's no reason to fix it. And so the business owner just says, yeah, we got great customer service. And they're just kind of blinded to the fact that they have this hole and this hole and this hole, and they're doing this. And because of that, they're losing customers and profits. And that's my job. My goal is to help business owners understand that, hey, yeah, you do have some pieces, but it could be so much better. And if it's so much better, you could reap a whole bunch of benefits because of setting this culture in place in your business.
So why in the world is it that you've decided to plant your flag in this area? And as my mom used to say to me, who do you think you are that you're trying to do this? What gives you the authority, Dr. Henry?
Well, backstory is I'm a retired chiropractor. I practiced for 20 years, mainly in New Mexico. When I moved to the little community in New Mexico where my wife's from and set up shop, I was able to buy out a retiring chiropractor, moved to the small community. Many businesses in the community, most of them have been there for years, not a whole lot of competition. And so as we interacted with these businesses, we quickly found out that customer service was not a big deal to them. And they could open up their doors, flip on their lights, and you had to do business with them. And that irritated the crud out of me. And so I quickly decided, you know what, my chiropractic clinics were going to be different. We were going to excel at great customer service. And basically I just backed into it. Well, as I started practice and started going, I just started seeing the benefits of treating people the right way. I didn't consciously do it to increase my business. Again, like I said, I just kind of backed into it. But I started seeing the benefits from it. And the patients were like, man, I just love how you treat us here. And that really piqued my interest. And so I started learning and developing and implementing, studying, and putting these pieces into play. And it helped me grow my initial clinic tremendously. And I later opened a satellite clinic and was able to grow it. So in 2018, I retired. Knowing that, one, I've been coached basically for my career, business coaches, personal coaches. So I knew I wanted to coach because I saw the impact of it. Being a business owner, seeing the impact that customer service had on my business, I like it. This is what I need to coach. And like you mentioned just at the start of the show, we go to all kinds of businesses and just see terrible customer service all the time. I want to fill that void. I want to be the voice to help businesses understand that, do better with it so they can be more successful. So I just meshed the two together and here I am.
So what's the important piece? You would think that, so I think people would go, okay, well, you just have to care. Or maybe it's a function of culture. what is the beginning point when you said you deconstructed or you backed into it? Where's the beginning of the process of establishing good customer service regularly?
Well, two things you can look at. My definition of customer service is a relentless focus on making the customer feel their best when they're with the business. So that can be the starting point. My mission statement in my offices, and then what I also recommend, highly recommend my clients take on as their service mission statement, is to be the best part of the customer's day, the patient's day, the client, the consumer's day. Be the best part of their day. And to me, that encompasses everything that is basically customer service. That's the focus, which it's basically just a focus on serving that customer, being there for them, not the customer there for you. That puts you on pretty solid ground to establish good customer service and a great culture in a business.
Well, that sounds good, but when the rubber meets the road, that's a totally different thing. I mean, we can say that, but again, we've had all these experiences, and the business owner would just die if they knew how their customers or clients were being treated in just the heat of a moment and in a weird situation. But that sounds great, but it's a big job, no?
Well, you think it's a big job, and that is the basis of my programs, my consulting is, and really my life from when I was early started in chiropractic, and it's simplicity. It's breaking things down to the simplest terms. So let's not make this difficult. It's not as difficult as it sounds. It's doing the simple things consistently that will reap tremendous results. And that's what I do with my programs. I've broken things down into basically 5 areas that if a business will take these 5 areas, implement them, and maximize them, it's the 80-20 rule is really what it is. So we're going to take the 5 areas that are going to make the business shine in the customer's eyes and drive up that perception of great customer service. And when you do that, again, you're going to reap the major rewards from it.
And so these 5 areas, is this in what you cover in your 5% bump program?
Exactly. So it's the core of the 5% bump program, yes.
So what's the backstory on the 5% bump program?
Well, the 5% bump, the name comes from a study done by Harvard Business School. And what they found out is if a business will start retaining customers by just 5%, if they'll increase their customer retention by 5%, it can lead to 25 to 95% increase in profits. And you do that by, as you retain more, those customers tend to refer more, and as they refer more, you're retaining more, obviously. And then when they become your marketing piece, that goes to your bottom line when you're not having to spend as much money in marketing because your customers are doing a lot of that for you. So that's the whole basis for it. To increase customer retention or loyalty, we just want to improve our service, create those relationships where those customers will stay with you. So that's the whole premise of the 5% bump program.
So what are the 5 things? Let's go through those and give us a little definition of each, please.
Absolutely. So number 1, and this is what I've lived my whole life, but to me, it's the essence of success, is having the proper mindset. Positive mental attitude, positive mindset. You got to start there. And it obviously goes hand in hand with great customer service. You can't live a negative mindset and then try to act positive and treat customers in a positive way. You can fake it for a while, but it's very difficult to sustain. So we want to establish that positive mindset. Doesn't mean everything's hunky-dory and every circumstance is going to turn out right. It's just how you look at it. Hey, this didn't work right. Let's move on. There's going to be a greater opportunity. Look at obstacles in a positive light that, hey, we can learn from this and move on to be more successful, those type of things. So that's goal number 1. Process number 1, step number 1. Step number 2, and it's equally as important, because if you don't get this, again, you're going to undermine the whole system, and you might as well scrap it as far as trying to establish culture. But it's developing a team atmosphere with employees and making them feel valued. If the employees do not feel valued, they don't feel important, they don't feel special, it's ridiculous to think that they can in turn treat the customer as special and valued and important. And so that is a key component. And this is the one piece that really hits home with me, because I missed this for quite a while when I was in practice. And I was looking at my employees as liabilities instead of assets. And one of my coaches called me on and said, quit doing that. You need to look at them as assets. They're doing a lot of good. You need to focus on that, acknowledge that, reinforce that, and what a change that made. And so that's a big piece of it, is start looking at the employees as assets, see the good they're doing, acknowledge that good, reinforce that, make them feel valuable and important. And just naturally, they're going to start making the customers feel more valuable and important. So that's the second component, and a huge component. Third component is the service aspect. And there's a lot of pieces that we can put into play to create better service. Actions that we put into play. A couple of the simple ones are smiling. Put a smile on your face. Every employee should wear a smile, just like any uniform that they put on. But a smile on the face is very important. Another one, I call it manners matter, or being polite, but using what I call the power phrases. Thank you, you're welcome, please. Those type of phrases. Those phrases give value to the person you're speaking with, and they seem to be not quite as important as they used to be. But using those phrases, simple, easy things that you can do. But again, you're adding value, you're creating value, you're making the other person feel valuable when you use these terms. So, and that's just a little sample of some of the actions that we put into place. The fourth item is make the business be more efficient and fast, and less bottlenecks for the consumer to do business with the company. We live in a microwave society. Everybody's busy. Everybody is on a time schedule. So the more convenient we make a business for the customer to do business with that company, the better off it'll be. And a lot of times, people will pay for speed over, being valued and made to feel special. So when you put the two together, that's a powerful thing. So it's looking at the uniqueness of the business, adding technology, whatever the case may be, looking at the bottlenecks, whole lot of things we can look at and change, but that's a key component. And then the final piece, the fifth piece, is, I call it fixing problems, but basically it's service recovery. A business drops the ball. It happens, we intentionally and hopefully unintentionally, or hopefully unintentionally and then occasionally intentionally, but being able to handle when a business drops the ball, upsets a customer in an appropriate manner. And the beauty of that is, when you take out a customer that has had a problem, and you do it in an appropriate manner to their satisfaction, they have a higher level of loyalty to the business than the customers that are just receiving great customer service. So the goal is not to intentionally do things to upset customers and take care of it correctly, but the goal is to have a plan, a method of taking care of customers properly when a problem arises, and knowing that when we do that, it's going to create a higher level of loyalty for those customers.
So this seems to be like a very deliberate way to create a culture, a deliberate culture in an organization, which if a company's not paying attention, a culture will evolve, whether you drive it or not, whether you're delivering it or not. Do you have like a way to define the values of an organization? Is there a process where you start to get this picked up, dust off, curated, and packaged where everybody can see it and be on the same page?
Well, when I go in with a company, we're going to do an audit.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to audit and see where they are as far as, yeah, we have great customer service, but let's audit and really test that. My goal is always to train the trainers, train the owner or the upper management, and then let them train down below them. And that is what ultimately is going to set the culture. Mm-hmm. I can't go in and just train the employees. I have the okay from the upper management, but if they don't understand it, they don't grasp it, it's not, like you said, a culture or a foundation that's being set, then it's just not going to, it's not going to be as effective. And ultimately, it's kind of that shiny new object, flavor of the month club type situation. And that's not what we want. It's got to, if you're going to truly go forward this, it's got to be a foundation laid, a cultural shift, and it has to start from the top down.
So what's it look like with an entrepreneur? Maybe they're like confessing to you, maybe they're crying a little bit, or is it like it's been eating on them and they know in the background they need to address this, and finally a conversation with you goes, yeah, it makes sense that we should do this. Tell us about that.
Yes, I get all that. Often what'll pique an entrepreneur's mind is, I don't know what's going on. I started off strong and I got to a certain level. Now I've plateaued and I'm even tailing off, and I'm throwing more money into my marketing. I'm trying to drive more sales, and we're losing money in customers. And that's when I come in. Hey, listen, have you looked at this? And what's unique for most businesses, especially startups, is they tend to be great at customer service, or at least have that attitude and just really want to, do well for the customer because they're trying to gain traction and build a business. But as they have some success, if it's not a foundation and they're really keyed into it, you have other problems once you start making money, and you have to make other decisions, and you have to hire, and life gets in the way, and customer service seems to be forgotten. And that's where we'll see that plateau, and then things start going downhill. And the first knee-jerk reaction is, hey, let's throw more money into marketing, or this marketing's not work. Let's throw some money into this marketing, and just nothing's working. So again, that's where I can come in and say, hey, let's look at this, see if this is the issue. And more times than not, it is a big issue that we can shore up and one, help them understand, and then they can see some fairly significant benefits fairly quickly. Understand, hey, this is pretty cool, and that's the beauty of what I do, and that's what brings me some great satisfaction.
For our agency, I get asked often, Steve, how do we justify the cost of what we pay you guys? Where's the real ROI, right? My agency's named ROI Online. So how do we figure out the ROI? And for me, the answer to that question is, well, what is your cost of acquisition, right? What's your lifetime value of a client on average? And what's your cost of acquisition of that client? And what you're addressing here is extending the lifetime value of an investment you already made to acquire your existing customer. And you're right, a lot of companies get focused on the marketing or on the sales, getting new business to the detriment of existing business.
Absolutely. That, again, I mentioned how I look at things in simplistic terms. Like you just said, the purpose of a business is to acquire customers, to keep customers, and to turn a profit. Mm-hmm. And so many businesses miss that middle part, or they don't have an effective strategy to make that happen at a significant level. They're great at getting customers. They can make a profit, but they just don't do anything to keep the customers. And that's where exponential growth and profits come from, is by keeping those customers in the business. And that's my goal and objective when I'm working with my clients.
It's like this little epiphany I had when I was younger, and my dad had bought me a car, right? I was 18 and he got me this car, and I drove it. It was a really great car, but I was focused on the little things that were wrong with it. And I thought, I'm going to get a new car. And so as I evaluated getting a new car, I only focused on the cost of the car and what would my payments be. But later, after I got that car, I figured out what I didn't factor into the equation, which was maintenance and insurance, right? And so when I think about this problem that we're discussing here, a lot of businesses don't realize that the acquisition of a new client is like that hidden cost of the insurance and maintenance. It does cost something to get a new client. It costs them, even if they just came in, walking like a zombie, they didn't click on any of your marketing. Onboarding them is an expense. Bringing them in, there's all this additional efforts that you have to put in play to get them into your system. Hopefully they're with you long enough to where you recoup those investments and start to be profitable. But I love the thought about it. It makes sense. Of course, I think we innately know it, but for whatever reason, it's not sexy enough for us to make this deliberate effort to establish a culture. Let's just keep the ones we got.
That's right. I love that term, and that's what I've come across. It's just not sexy enough.
Mhm.
Well, it may not be sexy, but it's powerful. So what do you want? Do you want something sexy and keep throwing money down that may have a minimal return on investment, or do you want something powerful that's going to have an exponential power return on investment? Choice is yours. So
When I look at these 5 things, the proper mindset, the team atmosphere, smile, manners matter, removing the barriers, where the process is convenient, and then recovering from service errors. These are all things that communicate by actions that you're appreciated and understood and you're valued. That's the essence of what you're communicating to these customers or clients. They don't expect you to be perfect, but they do expect you to just by your actions show that you care.
exactly, exactly, and that's the whole. I mean, that sums everything up. It's just making the customer feel like you care. You were there for them, not them there for you. And that goes back way back when I first started practice, going into this business, and they made me feel like I was an inconvenience and that you know I was bothering them by coming into their business. And consumers, in a day and age where the world's a little crazy right now, and they're holding on to their money a little more tightly. They go into a business and they want to give you money for a service or a product, but yet you're treating them like crud, like you don't care, like, just give me your money and take your service. They're going to hold on to that a little bit tighter, and they're going to find somebody else that will treat them with respect and value, like every business should.
I don't think you can. I think it's a little bit hypocritical to say we care about our customers, but then by your actions, with your employees, it shows the opposite, right? And that it just cannot be congruent. It cannot bake on through the whole cake on that. So talk to us a little bit more about your realization, what you realized and what changed on how you felt about your employees.
Well, again, I was looking at them the wrong way, through the wrong lens, as a liability. And I thought my job was just to see, or, I thought they were there just to collect a paycheck. They were there just to do the bare minimum. And that my job was to find every little thing they were doing wrong and correct them all the time. And all that does is creates resentment. And, I don't care attitude, because, Dr. Henry's just going to get on me all the time. So who cares how good a work I do? And I was all about positive mindset, and I just was not seeing this like I should have. And again, like I said, one of my coaches called me on it. It was a slap in the face. And so I started looking at them as, again, the asset, and seeing the 95, 98% of the stuff they were doing right and doing appropriately and doing good to make my business successful. And then I started telling them about it. Hey, Kelly, or Susan, or whatever their name was, I really appreciate you doing this. You are doing this so well. Thank you for taking care of that customer. You went above and beyond with this, with their need or whatever the case may be. And I would tell them regularly. I would tell them in front of the other employees. And that was a shot in the arm to their self-esteem. Immediately made them feel good. Immediately helped them look at me differently. Like, hey, he values what I'm doing. He saw what I'm doing. He appreciates what I'm doing. And what was even better was as they were getting that, then they started taking care of the customers better, my patients better, and going above and beyond regularly. But in turn, the patients were commenting, "Hey, we just love how you guys treat us. You guys are the best staff here in our particular community. There's no other business that treats us like you do." And that just created that reinforcement loop. And it was just a great thing once I got my head on straight and my attitude corrected on that.
One of the things I found that really impacted the way that our customers feel about the services that we deliver is if there is a very deliberate component of education involved in the experience with them. You remember that time you went to a workshop or you went to a conference or you went and heard someone speak and you left with more knowledge about something than before? You had a little spring in your step. You actually had clarity on something that was confusing. And when we started putting that into our process, it's amazing how endeared the clients were becoming to our team, but also our team was being appreciated. And there was a component of education and growing on their part as well.
Absolutely. And that's funny you should mention that. That's something I did in my practice. And obviously what I teach my clients to do. I called it a morning huddle, where 15 minutes before we open the doors, basically that was my time to educate and reinforce and focus my team on our objectives for that day, that we were there to serve those patients. We were there for them and not for us. We want to be the best part of their day. Talk about, and often I didn't educate them on different things. It was just a reminder of hey, let's make sure we're smiling, make sure you smile when you're on the phone, or whatever I needed to go over that day, just to keep reinforcing what we're there for, why we're there, what we're doing, and the objective for it. And that's a key component. It's got to be that consistency, not only in the actions, but the consistency, just like you said, in the training. And when I go through an audit, again, everybody's, "Oh yeah, we got great customer service." And one of my first questions is, "How often do you train your employees on certain aspects of customer service?" "Well, we really don't do a whole lot of that." "Well, then how can you say you have great customer service if you're not doing any kind of training on it?" I could say I'm in great health, but how often do I exercise? "Well, I don't exercise." "Well, you're probably not in great health then," kind of along those same lines.
Seems like it'd be a bonding experience when those daily meetings or weekly, where you share some aspect of your expertise and knowledge. Not everybody understands why you want to adjust the body in a particular way, and to be sharing that with your team on a regular basis seems like it would be very bonding. It would also be building authority with you, but they would be growing as well, and how they're working with the clients. They'd understand why you're putting them on this therapy while they're waiting for you. You understand how it's fitting into the bigger picture.
Exactly. Absolutely. And one of the things I communicated, and it was unique to chiropractic in my office, but also unique to medical offices in general, is, a patient comes in, they're hurting, the vast majority of the time, that's why they were coming into me. They were hurting. And I told my staff, it's when you make them feel valued, when you welcome them into the practice, you have a smile on your face and you acknowledge them immediately, that puts them at ease. And it's not going to take care of their pain necessarily, but it's going to help relax them. It's going to make them feel better psychologically, and change their physiology a little bit. Well, when you do that and they get back into one of my treatment rooms and I do an adjustment, that's going to make it easier for me, but it's also going to help them get better quicker because you're changing that physiology. So I tell them, "Hey, listen, you're as important as I am in this and the health of the patients. So don't ever take that for granted, and don't think what you're doing up here is not important, because it's vital to the health of our patients. And they really grasped onto that. And that was also a key component of them wanting to, hey, we need to take this serious and really up or keep our customer service game up, because we're helping the health of these patients.
So you not only have this 5% bump program that comes from the study that you mentioned earlier, but you have a book coming out.
I do. It's called Define and Deliver Exceptional Customer Service, and it's proven strategies to maximize profits.
And so it outlines this 5%, your 5% bump program, the 5 components. It goes over that in your book.
Well, it has pieces of that in it. It doesn't necessarily outline it as much, but many of the pieces are in the book. Again, going back to my simplistic mindset and how I do things, the book is basically just that. It's just taking these simplistic ideas, principles, rules, and actions. Again, let's not make this hard. Let's just do these simple things, get the mindset right, start developing the culture, and do it consistently, and then see the benefits from that.
What motivated you to write the book? Now, we could all assume that would be an obvious answer, but that book percolated around in your brain for a while till you finally go, okay, I'm going to do this. But what convinced you to sit down and get serious about writing it?
Well, funny question. It was actually, I had hired a public speaking coach, because that's part of what I do. And I'm coached, and my philosophy is always getting better. And so I hired him pre-COVID back in January, February, and we've been working and through the public speaking course that he has. Well, anyways, fast forward to about April, and things shut down for him, and he was looking for streams of income, and he had written 3 books. And we talk about, I'd mentioned that I wanted to write a book at some point. And he said, hey, listen, I'm thinking of starting a publishing company. You mentioned you'd like to write a book. Would you like to move forward? You'll be one of my first clients, and I can work you through the process. And so I said, you know what, let's do it. And he set up the whole process for me, and here I am. So it's pretty exciting, and as you know, and very, very rewarding. And my goal is that just business owners, entrepreneurs, whoever gets a hold of this, that they can take some things from it to better their business and create more success for themselves because of it.
So what's the one question that nobody ever asks you that you would really like to answer?
That's a good question. About what question? That is a valid question. I don't know if I can come up with something right now. What would you like to ask me that we haven't gone over?
You think about the interviews that you get to participate in, right? And so the folks are either prepared or they're winging it or whatever. But I'm curious that sometimes if there's a question that I should have asked that I didn't, and that would help you cover something of importance. So I thought, I'm going to throw this question in just to make sure I cover my bases for the most part.
Well, to be honest with you, the very first question about in talking about how business owners, think they have great customer service. In reality, they don't. Generally that doesn't ask. So I'll a lot of times bring that up. But we hit that right at the start here, so I didn't have to answer that. But that is a good component of, and really the statistic for that. There's a famous study done by Bain & Company along those lines that they surveyed almost 800 companies. And 80% of the business owners said they had superior customer service, not just good customer, superior customer service. And when Bain & Company surveyed the consumers of these companies, and only 8% of the consumers said these businesses have superior customer service. So the key is in customer service is you're driving customer perception, whether it's good or bad. The customer, the consumer, the client, the patient is going to have some kind of perception, some kind of judgment of your business, the service provided. So are you providing service that you would want them to remember and hold on to and come back for more? Or are you providing service that is marginal, not that great, that customer has, either it's not good, or even if it's just kind of average, that it's unremarkable and not memorable, patients, customers, clients are going to have a wondering eye in that case. And as soon as somebody tells them to go somewhere else, they get a coupon or they see the business down the street, they may try them out. So they don't have that loyalty, that relationship to your business. So we have to be careful of that.
Yeah. If you think you need to be working on your marketing, this is probably like the best place to start first, is to get your customers to be, introducing your company and promoting your company.
Absolutely. The word is customer service, exceptional customer service, great customer service is the new marketing. You still need to have marketing aspects, but when you have great customer service, all it does is enhance those marketing efforts and really everything that goes on in a business.
All right, excellent. So your book's coming out when?
January 11th is the launch. So you can find that on
Define and Deliver Exceptional Customer Service, Proven Strategies to Maximize Your Profits. Dr. Kelly Henry. Dr. Kelly Henry, what's your website?
That's a tough one. It's drkellyhenry.com. So
yeah,
we'll have a link for the book on the website. You can find it on Amazon, Audible, Kindle, all the appropriate places. So look for that January 11th. I'm also on Facebook under Dr. Kelly Henry and LinkedIn under Dr. Kelly Henry. So you can
that's
find
good branding.
Spots. So yeah.
The 5% Bump program, you can reach out to Dr. Kelly Henry on LinkedIn and learn some more about how the 5% Bump program would fit with your business. Any particular way you enjoy folks to connect with you?
However they want to connect is fine by me. So LinkedIn, Facebook, you can set up a call through my website if that's the way you prefer to do it. I'm just happy to talk with business owners that, hey, this may be something that they need to move forward with. We can generally figure that out pretty quickly. Even if I'm not a good fit, I'm going to leave you some kind of value, some kind of something to take with you to help your business be more customer service friendly. But yeah, any way they want to get in touch with me, I'd be more than happy to speak with them and do my best to help them out.
All right, Dr. Kelly Henry, you've been an excellent guest on the ROI Online Podcast.
Well, thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. And again, I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
My pleasure. That's a wrap.